I'm Ann Curry.
Good morning once again, everybody. Today in the news.
I'm the Today Show news anchor. I'm the Dateline host. I'm kind of everywhere. I am probably the last person you would ever expect, if you looked at my background, to be where I am today. My father was a career military man, and my mother was a war bride from Japan. Success is not what you have gained. Success is how hard it was to get it. I say dream big. And remember that the one thing that makes us successful more than anything else is our determination.
Ann Curry, I am thrilled to have you here because you are what the show is all about. Somebody who was not supposed to be sitting on top of the world.
That's me.
Like you are. Gambaru.
Gambaru, you know that.
I know that's something your mom taught you, which is pretty much all about. What is Gambaru?
Never, ever, 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 ever give up, and especially when there's no chance of winning. It's a Japanese word, and it I think is core to the Japanese culture. My mother was a war bride from Japan. My dad was a big American white guy who was an occupation soldier. This idea is critical to everything I am and all my brothers and sisters as well.
Now, you're the oldest of five. A quote which really sums it up. Gambaru is why a poor girl from a family without any history of going to college, a mixed race girl no less, a girl growing up in a family where the mother barely spoke English correctly, could rise and become someone who speaks in English to millions of people every day.
Isn't that funny? How did this happen?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing, I think. I think determination, in my view, more than anything else, more than talent, looks, intellect even, determines success. Because success, what is success? Success is making something you really want happen, have it come true. And the thing, everything else comes from, who knows, God, your family, but determination is something you can decide to have. So you yourself can choose to be successful if you don't give up. Even and especially if there's no chance of winning.
You know, speaking about no chance, talk about the cards stacked against you. You were never in a school for more than 2 years at a time growing up. I mean, for a lot of kids, that's, we always talk about on the show, is you turn adversity into prosperity. You turn that upside down on his head. To a lot of kids, that would have made them insecure and I don't have any footing. You kind of built strength out of it.
You know, I think my family, you know, having a very strong family, and I think that this is a very important message, I think, to parents who are listening. You know, being connected, no matter what's going on, being connected, if you don't have enough time to be with them, making sure that eye to eye, they're there, you're there, and you have that connection. My father traveled a lot in the military, and sometimes he would be gone for 6 months at a time. I remember running out my front door because I saw his whites, you know, in his uniform and his shoes. I could hear the click, click. I opened the door, and there was my dad. I only saw his legs because I was so little. I remember running out the stairs and being caught. He picked me up and twirled me around. I remember that because it had been gone for 6 months. And yet, this man I worship to this day. In other words, it's not always that you have to be with them every moment, but you do have to be connected. Yeah. And this, I think, is what allowed me, at least the foundation, to be who I am today.
Yeah, I have the same kind of dad who worked a lot, but I just knew I was everything to him. And
yeah,
that's all that matters.
That's the message. You are everything to me, and this is why I'm working.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, you also, growing up, you had to feel a little off. Okay, there weren't as many mixed race kids growing up. I mean, today it's still challenging.
There were none, except my brothers and sisters.
So
exactly.
You were kind of. What does that feel like, man, when you're walking around?
Well, people ask you all the time and say, "What are you? What are you?" And when somebody asks you that one time, it's one time. But when you're asked that over the course of my life, hundreds of times, what are you? You start to feel, at least as a teenager or a young woman, you feel like you're not in the group. You feel like you're on the outside. My father did me a big favor. Back to my dad, he'd said, you know, Ann, if you have to choose your Asian side, choose your Japanese side, the side of samurai, people who worked hard in the fields, grew rice, raised their family. From my white father, who allowed me, as a result of that, to understand, growing up in a white world, that I could never give up my Asian side. In fact, to do that was to dismiss my ancestors. And so I found great power in this idea that I need to embrace all of what I am and step forward in this strong way. And whatever people think of me doesn't define who I am. It's who I am, defined by me. So the question is, as you're growing up, how do you define yourself? And I got this great lesson from my family, which was, you know, whatever you do, do something that is of some service to someone else. And only then, by the end of your days, when you look back on your life, will you know that it mattered that you were born. This idea of being of service is core. Now, my father said this to me because he wanted me to join the service.
And he was in the ultimate service.
Right, in the
Yeah.
Navy for 24 years. But
I couldn't agree with that more. It's interesting. Doing this show the first year or two, I didn't love it because I was just interviewing people. Now, not in a great way, I feel like I'm providing some service, inspiring people, motivating people, teaching them about success, and it's different. And you said the only bias you bring to your stories is that every story you do, you want to somehow bring some service to it.
right, I want you to care. I want you to care about this child in Pakistan or in Africa, or this woman who was raped in the Congo, or this person who's been victimized by genocide in Kosovo. I want you to care about those people. That's my bias. I want you to realize that they are not some people somewhere else, but they could be your daughter. They could be your mother. They could be your father. And this is, I think, a critical message, especially in the world as it's changing today. We are, when we talk about globalization, we are moving towards becoming so connected, whether it's your child talking to somebody in Uzbekistan, you know, and the language being translated by their computer, you know, or whether it's what you buy and are having to learn Chinese because China's becoming, I mean, we are becoming so connected. We need to understand each other, and so I want that.
Yeah, I want to go back a little bit because this show is all about overcoming hurdles. And as an Army brat, you're moving all around.
I'm a Navy brat. The Navy gets the gravy.
Damn.
The Marines get the beans, my father said. The Army, I'm told they get the girls, but I'm definitely a Navy brat. Don't mess with that.
Okay,
Don't mess with that.
Hey, Navy brat, moving around, watching TV, seeing nobody like yourself, eventually a profession you eventually went into. Was there a moment you remember where it just, something felt so not good, you felt like such an outsider, or you felt wow, I'm not going to do it, but you just said, no, damn, I am going to do it?
It did happen. It happened, I had gotten my first job. I was, just doing the flunky, the intern at this local TV station. And a man in a very powerful position, the managing editor, news director, said to me, you know, when I was offered a job to be a reporter, the first woman reporter, they'd never had a reporter. He said, you know, Ann, I'm going to do you a favor. We've never had a woman reporter. Women have no news judgment. And besides, there's no way you can carry the camera. It's a big camera, and you're going to hurt yourself. And I just want you to know, I think you should not take this job. It'd be better if you stayed in that other job, the lower job. And I looked at him. I remember thinking as I looked at him that I wasn't really angry. Well, maybe I was a bit angry, but I wasn't angry at him because I understood that he was only saying what he knew. And what I thought in my head when I said to him, you know what, just give me a chance, in my brain something clicked. And what clicked was, oh yeah, watch me. It was Gambaru. Oh yeah, watch me. So I think to take challenge, when someone says something to you that makes you feel potentially that you are not good enough, that it's not possible for you to have something, to have the reaction, which is not to blame the person, not to be bitter, but rather to use it as gas, fuel, rocket fuel, go. Oh yeah, watch me, which you use the determination to work really hard to make it happen.
Do you know what we say on that big idea? We say, bite me. You said, big bite me. You want to say bite me to him right out there right now?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
You're saying the opposite.
I don't, because
opposite,
you know why? Because I've met him since.
Yeah.
And you know what he did? He actually, years later, called me up and said, you know what? I want you to know, Ann, after I'd become a successful reporter in the local TV station, and I left with a party, and they were wishing I wasn't going to leave. He called me up and said, you know what? I want you to know, Ann, that whatever I said to you, I don't want you to listen to me. To be honest with you, you can go as far as you want to go. This same person.
Good for him.
And here's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
Part of that is not coming with bitterness, but understanding their deal and not blaming them for the ignorance of our world and trying to work around it.
That's a very evolved position.
Find your way. And as a young woman, I realized, you know what? I got to work with this person. He doesn't see it in me. I know it's there. I'm just going to prove it to him.
You weren't always this amazingly glamorous, successful, powerful. You were actually cleaning rooms in hotels? I
was. I worked my way through college, had a lot of jobs. I didn't know from semester to semester whether I was going to graduate because no one in my family had ever gone to college. And my father and I were actually going at the same time, he on the GI Bill, me with a little few scholarships and working my way through. And I got a job at Harris. Harvey's in Lake Tahoe.
Oh,
which
you
is a
need to make it a Harvey's.
It was a big casino.
Right.
And I got a job as a maid in the hotel. So you know, and be honest with you, that will tell you what you don't want to do with your life. You know, not that there's anything disrespectful about that job, but my brain was on fire. There were things I wanted to do, and I knew this wasn't it. But it gave me a chunk of change to put into my college education, and because of Harvey's, thank you Harvey's, I'm here.
Give me a moment, because somebody out there right now might be cleaning rooms, saying I'm destined for something else now, or driving a cab, saying I want to do something. Take me a moment when inside one of those rooms where you were doing something and you said, wait, nothing's stopping me. Do you remember any particular time, any room, any situation? Because that's tough to come from there to here, and
I think
that kind of kept you going.
I think telling yourself to have faith in yourself. Look, I think that whatever job you're given, whether it's cleaning rooms or anchoring the news, you do it. You do what you're paid for to the best of your ability, 100%. 100%. And when I left Harvey's, they wanted me to come back. So you know what I'm saying? I mean, don't diminish the quality of hard work and the importance of hard work. On the other hand, I had faith in when I really had a hard moment. You're talking about the hard moment, and I wondered, can I, this multiracial, poor, slightly overweight kid with bad skin, who came from a family where I didn't always know when I was pronouncing a word whether I was pronouncing it correctly because it was mispronounced in my family, in my house so much. Can I actually ever do this right about the world? Interview people. Could I do this? I had moments where I would get so scared that I had dark moments, absolutely. Sometimes they were, scrubbing floors at Harvey's, and sometimes they were all along the way. Every step along the way, there were those moments. And then I would remind myself of where I come from, who my people are, who my family is, who believes in me. Ultimately, it's about that. And then ultimately, how I could not let them down. And when I became a mother, how, if I'm the mother of this little boy and this little girl, I am even more important in this world. And how could I let them down? And then, Maya Angelou, the great poet, said to me, Anne, all of us, we are the greatest dream of our ancestors. They wished for us. It's why they survived slavery, the pogroms, genocide, war, why they fought so hard to survive, not just for themselves, but for their children. And in that way, you, if you could hear them, the large number of ancestors you have, she said to me, they're cheering you.
It's great.
Right now, cheering you. So how can you doubt yourself? Your value is in just being here breathing. If you can even move forward to what you want to be, every step.
All right, we're going to take a break. More with Ann Curry. If she's not getting you pumped up, nobody's going to. Don't go anywhere.